You are entering a safe space. Please take a moment to center yourself and allow every thought, worry, and care to fall away right now. Focus on taking deep breaths and allow yourself to feel the healing freedom that is waiting to be ignited within you. Welcome to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. This is your healing space, providing you with hope and inspiration as you become more connected to yourself. Your safe vessel, helping you move to a higher consciousness to reignite your voice and discover who you are destined to be really inside you. I am Isabel Draughon, your host. I am also an author, entrepreneur, and a life transformation and spiritual coach. Most importantly, I am a perpetual student of life, just like you. So let's explore together. Claim what is already inside you. Welcome to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. This is your healing space. This is your number one health and wellness podcast, your self-development podcast. I'm your host, Isabel Draughon. Thank you so much again for joining us this week. If this is your first time, please subscribe and then make sure you share it to other people. Thank you for coming into this space where we talk about everything self-development, really life experiences. The purpose of this podcast is to create a space where we hear stories from people or just really tools and instructions on how to become a better you in all areas of your life. So thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoy this talk. I know you will enjoy this talk because I have a very special person with me today. She's an amazing. What I love the most about her is the authenticity. It's something that when you meet her, you want to aspire to be that, because it seems that it makes life a little bit more seamless. It doesn't make life perfect, but it makes it a little bit more seamless because then you get to show up as who you are instead of always being someone else. And it goes back to what we're talking about on this podcast. It's just really being your authentic self and how do you show up in this life. So again, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, please subscribe. If you listen to us every week, please share with your friends and your family so that they can join us. Today, I have an amazing guest. She's a really dear friend of mine and really a mentor in so many ways. Her name is Catherine Jones. Welcome to the show, Catherine.
It is my pleasure to be here, Isabel.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'm excited that you're here. So what I'm going to do is read her bio to tell you guys a little bit about who you are. But I always tell my listeners when I'm done with my guests, I always put the information on the talk. So just take the time to really discover who this person is. Go look at her website, her LinkedIn, just see what type of a person she is. It could be someone that you can connect with or someone that you think can help someone else, or connect her with someone, just in that sense, and creating a community in this world so we can all thrive together. So let me talk to you about Catherine Jones. Catherine Jones is a seasoned expert who helps executives and entrepreneurs craft compelling messages delivered with confidence and charisma. Midwesterners might remember her from her days as a morning show personality and a talk show host in Chicago radio dynamic, where she mastered the art of making information interesting and inspiring interaction. After her broadcasting career, Catherine joined a communication consulting firm, facilitating presentation skills programs for prestigious clients such as JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Goodyear. Now, as an independent consultant, she coaches on executive presence, client communication, and public speaking. With the rise of virtual meetings, she leverages her broadcasting experience to teach leaders how to connect and make an impact even through a screen. Catherine is also the author of Show Up and Shine, Simple Steps to Boost Your Confidence and Charisma, I know a lot of us need that right now, especially in this world. A book that guides readers to enhance their personal presence, change perceptions, and achieve goals. Welcome, 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 Catherine.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. So where do we start, Isabel?
Look at her. See, that's my mentor. She helps me. Okay, so here we go. There's so much that I can talk to you about. Gosh, there is so much. But then I go back again to the reason of why this podcast is what it is. And I know you're a person who talks a lot about you're teaching people how to show up, whether it's executives, right? And you talk about boosting one's confidence. So, can we have a conversation about that?
Sure.
What is self-confidence? Let's start there.
Oh, that's kind of a global question, isn't it? So we might name synonyms for confidence like self-assurance or aplomb, or there's a bunch. The gist of it is I feel good about what I say, how I say it, and how people perceive me. And I'm comfortable in my own skin. And we sense when people are not comfortable in their own skin, or when they're projecting an image that isn't really them, or when they're trying too hard to connect and it feels inauthentic. So, how do I cultivate a confidence in myself that allows me to show up as I really am, connect with an audience, a colleague, a client, and use that connection to communicate fully and deeply?
I love that. I love that. That is amazing. And the thing about it is, I love the way you described it. It sounds really good. It sounds very doable. But I'm here to tell you.
I heard a but coming there.
You heard the but, because the but is the truth of the society that we live in right now. Everything that you're saying is so real and is so true. And that's why people like you who understand this are needed, especially now in this world, to really teach people how to gain confidence. We live in a world where things are moving so fast. And every time you look at your phone, you're seeing other people, you're seeing people doing different things. And what's the first thing we do? We compare ourselves to everyone around. So what happens, at least for me, I'm thinking when this used to happen and just hearing people's stories, they say, I can feel good about myself for one moment, but then I start questioning myself because I'm comparing myself to other people, and that kills my self-confidence. So if I am listening to this right now and I'm like, gosh, Catherine, I am doing my very best every day to try to gain self-confidence, what tips can you give me for me to even start that journey of really becoming more confident so I can be authentic, like what you just described?
So I'm going to suggest that you don't think about it so much. Like that I cannot think my way to confidence. I mean, I could talk to myself and say, oh, you're good at this and you'll succeed and people like you, and, whatever. To me, that's not a useful approach. Instead, I think you start with the body. So that you inhabit your own body.
Okay.
And a confidence and self-assurance comes from that. So do this with me, Isabel, and you too, whoever you are listening.
Yeah.
Put your feet flat on the floor, unless, of course, you're driving and listening in the car.
Yeah.
Then you got to be careful. But put your feet flat on the floor and center your bottom in the chair. So you're really firmly on both of your sit bones. So you're not leaning off here, leaning off there. You're grounded or settled in the chair. Your spine is straight. You're sensing your feet still. Stay in touch with that. Often we talk about being grounded.
Yeah.
The way to get grounded is to put your feet on the floor. And as women, we often sit with one foot up on the chair underneath us, or our ankles crossed, or something like that, or our legs crossed at the knee. And I'm asking you to really use that grounded sense to fill yourself with a sensation of being right here, right now.
I'm feeling it right now, honestly, as
and
you're
that's
speaking.
A part of confidence. So then relax your shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So we carry so much tension here. And your spine is straight. Your shoulders are relaxed and down. And breathe from your lower abdomen. So, I mean, of course, the breath is in the lungs, but you want to feel the sensation of your abdomen moving,
Mm-hmm.
not up here where, people get tense or nervous and breathe all in their upper chest.
Yeah.
So you're breathing fully and deeply, and then make sure your head is straight on your neck. Often we sit like this when we're listening, which is great. But when we're going for confidence, we want to be very vertical and
Okay.
erect and
Okay.
relaxed and in our body.
Mm-hmm.
And then notice the sensation of that.
I
What I
feel it.
feel. Yeah, do you?
I do. I feel
Yeah.
the tingles from the bottom of my feet coming
Yeah.
all the way up, literally to my spine. And I feel present. I feel movement within my body while I'm still.
Yeah. And that feeling present is the key here, right?
Yes.
Because when I'm not present, I'm more vulnerable to those thoughts about what I said a minute ago and how did people think about it and what are they
Mm-hmm.
thinking of me and what am I going to say next and oh my god, I've got this other thing. We can make ourselves crazy with that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm right here, right now, I can relax about all of that, let go of it, and attend to the person I'm with. So,
Mm-hmm.
right now, my attention is on you listening to this podcast. And if we were in person together, I would be watching your face. I would be picking up cues.
Okay.
I would be looking and listening for you. So when I do that, I feel much more confident about who I am, where I am, and what I'm up to. Because I'm not, scattered. I'm not, there's no room for fear.
Mm.
Fear
That's
happens
that
when
word, that
I
fear.
know. And
Yeah.
fear comes when I'm thinking ahead, right? Oh my God, what
Right.
am I going to say next? What are they going to think about me? Will they go
Yeah.
to my LinkedIn or not? Maybe they're going to turn off the podcast, right? I could get myself all in a stew about that. But if
Mm-hmm.
I stay present, that fades away.
Yeah.
And I'm just here with you right now
In the present
and
moment.
completely confident about what we're doing here.
I love it. Now,
Do
is
you?
this, I love it because I'm feeling it. And as you're speaking, giving me the instructions, I was actually, for those of you that, you're not looking at this right now, but I did exactly what she said we should do. I hope you did that too. I felt it from my feet. And then when you said, I feel grounded with you, with what we're doing right now, I actually felt that energy, honestly.
Yeah.
And I felt present. Now, is this something that, as you know, when we start to learn new things, you've just described something new that that the listeners can start doing. So what happens, at least for me, normally in life, when I start to learn something new, you do it for a day or two, and then, oh, you forget. Is this something that you constantly have to do in order to make it a habit? Or
I think it does become a habit. I don't know how long that takes, but what you notice is it's actually quite comfortable. We've
yes.
developed all these habits. Mine is I do this, I pull my left shoulder forward, I get engrossed in the computer screen, and I find
Yeah.
myself doing this. Where that came from, I don't know, but I sense it and I let it go.
Got it.
And lots of us have that. We turn our foot sideways on the floor. When I
Mm-hmm.
notice that, I put my feet flat again and I relax.
Mm-hmm.
And it does become very natural. My habit is to sit in this kind of very present posture um,
Mm.
because it feels good.
Yeah.
Right? At first, it might feel unusual
Okay.
depending on your habits, but it comes to feel really good because your body is aligned the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-mm. Okay. That makes
Right.
sense.
And when
Mm-hmm.
I'm aligned, everything can relax and let go. And I don't have tension anyplace. And
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, I guess I need a little bit of attention just to stay upright, but it doesn't feel knotted
Yeah.
up or stressed.
Yeah.
Right.
I really love this because I am definitely going to use it when fear creeps up. I feel like this is something that can really bring me back home to myself and center myself, and just
Yeah.
make me become still again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very physical. And when we do that, we
Mm-hmm.
take ourselves out of the emotional center where all of that fear is happening
Mm-hmm.
or apprehension or concern or whatever it is and bring ourselves back home to ourselves.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Now, have you always been this confident?
No.
Okay.
No.
Tell
And I'm
us.
not always confident now. I know
Yeah.
people, this is something people say about me. Oh, yeah, you're
Okay.
always so confident.
Yeah.
Really? No. As you know, I have tons of doubts about, for instance, my ability to attract and close new
Mm-hmm.
clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my strong suit. And
Yeah.
I know it's not my strong suit, and I get fearful about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm not always confident. I do have a path, though, to get back to confidence. And very often, when people perceive you as confident, they respond to that. And there's a feedback loop that starts, right? So you
Oh, they
become more
mirror you.
confident. Yeah. You become more
Oh,
confident as you get that energy going between you. You know, communication is all about the energy.
yeah.
There's an exchange of energy happening now between you and me, and between you and me and your audience. And
Mm-hmm.
so everybody's energy comes together, and it can be
Mm-hmm.
really electric.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But we
Uh,
need to be present for that to happen. I mean,
yeah.
physically present in our body.
Physically present in our body, and that's just
Yeah.
something in this world that moves so fast. I think we should give ourselves that
Yeah.
gift, honestly, of being really present in our body, like Catherine is explaining, because we live in a world that's moving so fast. So being present and really connecting to yourself, I think is something worth trying and something worth doing. So, Catherine.
Yes. I'm a technological nincompoop. I just realized I hadn't silenced my phone and my watch, and I thought I better do that. And so, in the course of that, of course, I made the phone make noise. Boy,
But see, I love your authenticity. That's how it goes, right?
yeah,
Now
I'm
you were in
working
the
on it.
radio business.
I was for many
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. How many years were you in the radio business?
25. I started when I was 12.
Okay. She said
Kidding.
12 and I said, okay, right.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. But yeah, 25 years is a long time to have a career that's already been over for years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why I ask you that is because I would call you an expert at communication. And communication is really the center of how we interact with other human beings,
Sure.
whether it's at home, whether it's at the office. But really, I feel that the first type of communication that we need to get acquainted to is how we communicate with ourselves,
Ah,
right? We just talked about self-confidence.
yeah.
And I just want to dive in a little bit on the fear aspect of it, this false evidence appearing real that we all seem to have a thing going. For me, for instance, as a speaker, getting on stage, you hear a lot of speakers that say, every time I go on stage, I have this fear every time.
Mhm.
It's real. Most people don't see that. When they see you as a
Right.
speaker, they think you have it all together. Before that moment when either you're getting on stage, you're about to apply for a new job, you're about to get married, or whatever huge decision that happens in your life, and the unknown creeps up, that fear creeps up. You talked about how we can center ourselves. How do we navigate through that? How does someone navigate the unknown, the uncertainty through life?
Boy, this is way above my pay grade,
No, it's
Isabel.
not. No.
Communication skills are my jam. I think, what you said a minute ago about false evidence appearing real
Mm-hmm.
takes us right back to what I was saying earlier about being present. Fear
Yeah.
happens when I'm in the future, when I'm thinking about the future, when I'm
Mm-hmm.
projecting into the future.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can stay present,
Mm-hmm.
the fear begins to ease or subside.
Okay.
That's all I got for fear.
That's all
I,
you got for fear.
yeah, I mean, really, I'm not,
I mean, because it is real. It is real. Fear is as we're
oh, for
always thinking,
sure.
it's getting lost in the future, and the future is not here already. And
Yeah.
the reason why I keep asking that is because that's just how we live, in this world. Everything is about the future, everything is about next. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the fear. Let's talk about personal presence.
Okay.
I am a firm believer about personal presence. I remember growing up, my father used to always tell us, even if you have a penny in your pocket, when you walk out of that door, you better look like $1 million.
He was a smart guy, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. literally, that was a mantra that he would say over and over and over again. He used to say presentation is everything. And I know you talk about presence in how people show up in their own lives, show up at work, show up in other people's lives.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about how someone can enhance their personal presence.
So I'm going to take us right back where we've already been, because it starts with being present, right?
Okay.
There's a coincidence.
Yeah.
So how do I get physically present in this moment? Because as soon as I'm not present, my presence begins to drain, right? So having presence means I'm here now. It also means I'm comfortable taking up space.
Ooh.
I own the space I'm in.
Okay.
This is a challenge for many women, especially.
Yes.
Because there's a whole culture telling us to take up less space. And so we develop habits like pulling our shoulders in, or bringing our knees in together, or kind of ducking down, almost tilting our head.
Playing small.
Yeah. And this is particularly an issue. Like for years, I wanted to be smaller because I was too big. And so I try. This does not make me thin, right? Any of this jazz of shrinking myself, it makes me round. That's a shape. It's not the shape I want. So I am actually much better off to take up all the space I take up. So I would encourage people who want to project more confidence and to have more presence to open themselves. So I'm open across my chest. My hands are not clasped in my lap. My knees or ankles are not crossed. I am fully occupying my space. We shrink when we feel unworthy or uncomfortable, and people perceive us as small. Yeah. So that's the beginning of presence. I'm in the space I'm in. Yeah. And I own it.
I like that for several reasons. As women, especially, we're going to talk about women in this part. We do play small. And the way you're explaining it is so real. We'll either move our right shoulder, sink in, sit on the side corner, or even like to the edge of the seat. You know what I mean? Thinking like we're not going to be seen.
Yeah, totally.
You're saying instead of trying to do all these things to be small, take up the space.
Absolutely.
Show up, right?
Yeah, yeah. And when I take up all the space, people perceive me differently. Now, it's a huge advantage in terms of professional presence to be tall. I'm not tall. I'm shorter than I used to be.
Why is it a huge advantage?
Because tall people take up space, right?
Oh, that is true. Yeah, they do.
There's tons of research on that we perceive, much of it was done about men, of course, because it comes from back when people in public life were all men. Yeah. But there is an advantage to being tall, and men who were not tall, people talk about the Napoleon complex, like guys overcompensating for being short.
Oh my God. My late mom used to say, oh, he has the short people syndrome.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Because she was short too. So she used to say, yeah, I have the short people syndrome.
Yeah. Well, I am short now, and I take up plenty of space even when I'm short. And particularly, I have had people comment when just recently, somebody said this to me. We were together in person, and they always see me on a Zoom screen. And she said, oh my God, you're short. I didn't.
What did you say?
I said, I'm tall enough. The heck? Anyway, the point is, you don't have to be tall to take up space. Okay. And so you want to be firmly grounded, and it's especially important, Isabel, to be open across here, right? The more we shrink into ourselves, the less strong and confident we appear. And the more we're open, when I'm open across here, I'm taking up space, I'm also relaxed. I can
Mm-hmm.
breathe fully. So my voice is supported. And that's the other thing about professional presence. It's about how
Mm-hmm.
you look and how you sound and the
Okay.
feeling people have when they're with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I sound confident.
Mm.
You agree?
Yes,
So why do I sound confident?
because you're taking up space.
Yeah. And because my voice is coming from my core and because I am
Right.
speaking as much as I need to speak and then stopping.
Okay.
I am pausing and not filling up the pauses with like, so, kind of, sort of, basically, all of that jazz. I
Mhm.
don't sound hesitant or uncertain.
Okay.
I could be making this up off the top of my head, but I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so people assume I do know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making it up. Don't
I know
worry.
you're not. I know you're not. This is a
But
metaphor. You give an example.
yeah,
I know you're
but
not.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that plays a huge role in executive presence or professional presence. It's what do people hear? What do people see? How do they feel when they're with
Mm-hmm.
me?
Mm-hmm.
And for many women, our voices are kind of strangled. I don't know much about chakras. Do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so there's a throat
Uh,
chakra.
yes.
That much I do know.
Yeah.
And and many women in particular have been kind of choked off in their throat chakra. And
Yeah.
so
They
they have a
don't
little,
breathe. They
yeah,
stop breathing right there. They
yeah.
don't, like you were explaining, if I can interject, like
Please.
the way you
It's your
taught,
show.
the way you taught, it is my show, but it's your space right now. The way you taught us at this moment to really breathe from our core, that's where we're supposed to be breathing from. Most of us stop, especially women, as you were just explaining.
Yeah.
We stop breathing right on top, like on a chakra. We stop right there when you're really supposed to breathe from inside your core, like how Catherine was just
Yeah.
explaining. Yeah.
And so when I choke off here, I get that tiny little voice that sounds kind of tinny and thin and
Yeah.
weak. And that is not that doesn't come across as executive presence. So
Okay.
everybody's voice is a different pitch. It's not that you have to have a voice that is in a different register. You are blessed, Isabel, because your voice is really lower range, easy to listen to.
Oh, thank you.
What I find is helpful, think about your natural range, whatever that is. Mine
Mm-hmm.
is lower,
Mm-hmm.
not surprisingly, right? I got into radio in the 70s when everybody on the radio was a man.
I was
And
just
so
about to
that,
ask, how did you pull that
yeah.
off in the
Well,
sense?
that's a whole story. We'll talk
Yeah.
about it. But there was a whole wave of women when they first began hiring women who
Mm-hmm.
all had voices lower than is typical for women. Why is that? Because the radio model was male, right? So that those are the voices that people found appealing. Women in particular, used to call the radio station about one of my colleagues and say, I don't like that girl's voice. It's too high. And her voice was
Wow.
fine, but she's not a man.
But she's not a
Yeah,
man.
which is really what they meant. Anyway, the point is you don't have to have a voice that is lower. You can be a second soprano and you still want to be speaking primarily at the lower end of your natural range. Then you use the high notes for emphasis. Do you hear
Okay.
what I did?
Yes.
I'm talking here, but I come up.
For emphasis.
Yeah, for emphasis. I don't stay up here because if I did, my voice would be strained. You would get tired of hearing it, and I wouldn't have any place to go to emphasize anything.
Mm-mm.
So think about your natural range, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on zeroing in on the lower end of that, but then using the high notes.
Mm.
That is how you sound confident, as opposed to talking up here all the time. There's also something about the pause. I mentioned not saying like, when you can speak in person, on Zoom, on the phone, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
say what you need to say and then stop talking. That exhibits confidence.
Wow. Just even the energy feel when you just did that. That is something that I have to learn. That's truly something that I have to
Well,
learn.
we have talked about stop talking, haven't
Stop
we?
talking. She'll tell me, stop talking. Because I'm so long winded and I want to tell her that. She's like, stop talking. But
And this
honestly,
is
just listening to you at this moment when you did that and you stopped, the energy that I felt, it was safe. It was
okay.
believable watching
Yeah.
you because you
Yeah.
paused.
Yeah. So that pause, people read it as you mean what you say.
Okay.
Now, one thing I want to add to that is I come to the end of what I'm saying, and you know
Mm-hmm.
it's the end because you hear the tone of my voice drop just a tad. It doesn't go up because if it went up, it would be a question, not a confident
Mm-hmm.
statement. And so when we develop a habit, and many people have it, of saying everything with that
Mm-hmm.
up note at the end, where everything sounds like a question, it undermines the ability to sound confident.
This has
It's
been
a,
extremely powerful. This is
yeah,
really powerful.
it is really a habit that doesn't help people come across as confident. There are people who argue that upspeak or that tone that goes up at the end of phrases and sentences has become so ubiquitous that it is more accepted or people don't read it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I think those people are wrong. I think we naturally interpret a tone that is even at the end of a sentence as a statement of fact.
Okay.
And we interpret a tone that goes down as a command. Boy, she really means it now. And we interpret a tone that goes up as a question. Implied or directly stated,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds uncertain.
Hmm.
You hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um, to sound confident, and when we sound more confident, we feel more confident. To sound confident, we want speaking at the lower end of the range,
Okay.
speaking from the core, not from up here in our head,
Mm-hmm.
putting a period on a sentence and letting it breathe a little bit.
Mm. And you know what I thought about just now as you're explaining?
Mm.
Gosh, this is really powerful. So many lessons here. When you're pausing, it gives the other person an opportunity to really register what you just told them
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
That just hit me.
One of the reasons people don't pause is they're nervous, right? So I just keep talking and I keep saying, I
Yeah.
say what I already said and I say it over again because I don't know what's going to happen if I stop. So if I don't stop, then they can't, we just dribble on.
Yeah.
But also, we're nervous about what might happen in the pause. Or we're
Oh,
afraid somebody
that's
else is going to steal
interesting.
the conversational ball and run with it. So if I pause, Isabel will start talking and I'll never get another word in edgewise.
Okay.
Now, I contend that if I speak confidently and certainly and like I mean what I say, that pause can do what you said, Isabel. It can be a rest. It can be an opportunity for both of us to just breathe, take
Mm-hmm.
in what was said, and then go
Mm-hmm.
on. And I am not nervous that you're going to jump in and talk over me and never let me get another word in edgewise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
it creates connection too, I feel.
Yeah.
Because what I'm thinking just now is that when you do the pause, it allows, first of all, you're going to sound confident. I'm just
Sure.
reiterating this for people who are listening because I'm doing it for myself. This is a lesson we're learning today, guys. No, we really are. This is great. This is powerful. I'm excited about this. Okay.
Good.
And you can use this in any area, in any type of relationship that you're in, communication, whatever, guys. So pay attention. What I'm saying is that what I've learned, this is my takeaway because I'm always talking so much, is to pause. When I pause, it helps me sound confident. But what was powerful for me is when you paused, I felt like it gave me an opportunity to register everything that you were just telling me. And because that I did that with the pause, and when you continue talking as a speaker myself, I'm thinking, I just imagine myself in front of people and I pause. So it's giving them the opportunity to register, but then I'm able to connect with them too. a little bit deeper through that pause.
And let me add that one way we connect with people is with our eyes.
Okay.
So you know what they say about windows to the soul and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Eye contact is enormously important in our connection with other human beings, whether we are in person with them or not. So I'm going to demonstrate how, in fact, I've already been demonstrated how we make eye contact when we're in a meeting.
Okay.
I would love to be looking at Isabel's beautiful face. Right now, I'm not. I'm looking through the camera at you who are listening. And that is how I have eye contact with Isabel and with everybody else. So my temptation when I'm on a screen is to look like this. Now I'm looking at Isabel. But how it seems is I'm talking off into the ether, right?
It does look like that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking, but I'm not connecting because I'm not looking through the camera. People tell me all the time, Isabel, I hate looking at the camera. I don't want to talk to a camera. It doesn't feel natural to talk to a camera. So think about it like this. Through the camera. I'm talking through the camera to you as if you're right on the other side. It's analogous to a phone conversation. If I were going to call Isabel on the phone, I would not say, here I am talking to my phone. I'd be talking to Isabel. The phone is just the vehicle that gets my voice to her ears and her voice to my ears.
Okay.
Think about the camera and the microphone the same way, just a vehicle. So you're really talking to the person and you create an image for yourself that they're right there on the other side. How about that?
Where you see. Now that you say that, I have something for you. My husband told me that when I talk, this is what I do. When I talk to people, I don't know if I was raised this way, but I like to look at people in their eyes. He told me he said that's not a good thing because people get intimidated and some people would not want to talk to me. I'm like, don't you want to talk to somebody who looks at you dead? Because I like to have the connection. But he says, he told me that looking at people dead in their eye as they're speaking is not a comfortable feeling for the other person or myself if I'm the one speaking, but just in general. He's like, you always look at people dead in their eyes. Like, that's not good. People are not comfortable. Is that true? I thought it's the opposite. He did say, but men love it.
Oh, that's interesting. I think for most people, they read steady, direct eye contact as a signal that you're interested in them, that you're connecting with them.
Okay.
So I always tell my speaker clients that we connect with the audience eyes to eyes and heart to heart. They go together. And so we face somebody that we're speaking to. And in a big room, in an audience, we turn our body. So I'm making connection with these people. And then I'm over here. And then I don't forget this guy in the front row. And then the person on the side. So eyes to eyes, heart to heart. And I think when we're in a one-on-one conversation, most people read eye contact as a signal that you're attending to them. If I'm talking to you, Isabel, but I'm checking the clock behind you to see what time it is, you're aware of that.
Yeah.
And if I'm just looking away and talking, then you're wondering, what is she looking at? Is she bored? Is she trying to get? Yeah, I have to say, I think your husband's wrong about that.
I think so. I think he's wrong too.
Yeah,
I think he's wrong. I think his biggest issue is the
valuable.
fact that he knows that men like the fact that I have eye contact.
Well, maybe that's it. Yeah.
Maybe that's it, right?
I mean, of course, it's true. We don't, nobody wants to be in a stare down.
It's not a stare down. I just pay attention, just like you were explaining. When I'm sitting in front of somebody, I don't want to look left while they're speaking or right. He said, well, at least look to the side. No, I want to look into the eyes of the individual. That's the path to their soul, that the individual that I'm speaking to. And I feel if we have that eye contact, it creates that space where we're both comfortable and we can have an honest, authentic conversation.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And some people have varying degrees of comfort with eye contact. That is true. Some people are really uncomfortable with eye contact and they look away, and okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But my job is to communicate as directly and with connection as I can. If I'm having a conversation with you, I want to actually have a connection with you. I want to feel that. I want you to feel that.
Mm.
And eye contact is one way we create that.
Yeah.
And then other things matter, tone of voice, language, all of that makes a difference too. But I think eye contact is fundamental. And I think when it comes to people who speak in a group, whether that's standing in front of an audience the way you do, Isabel, or at a conference meeting at work, sitting around a table, people who communicate in a group often are not adept at making people feel included at using eye contact well. I have no idea how much time we have or how much time we've been talking, but do we have time for a story?
Of course.
Okay. So when I left radio, which, was not really my choice, I kind of aged
Okay, if
out.
you're going to tell us the story, you're going to tell us why you left radio. You can't just half tell us.
I got laid off again, whatever. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
There was other ways to do what I was doing. And there just wasn't another position in Chicago that made sense for me. And at that point in my life, I wasn't going to pick up and head down the highway to another market. I did a lot of that when I was young, but I was married, I owned a house, I wanted to stay in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so I, contemplated what else I could do. That's another whole story. But what I settled on is communication, because what else do I know? Coaching and consulting. And surprise, people who do that kind of consulting are not that eager to hire somebody who's never done it before. It turned out to be a little challenging because I had no experience. I mean, I had tons of experience, but not
on radio. So you're thinking, okay, I have the radio experience. I'm good.
Yeah. No, I wasn't good. But I did find a company that was at least interested in me. And their home office was in New York. So I needed to go to New York and do a 5-minute presentation on how I would add value to the firm. So that would be a sales presentation, which I had never done in my life.
Okay.
And wasn't eager to start. I practiced. I was on the plane to New York, muttering under my breath what I was going to say to them. I was so nervous. And I stood up in front of this room full of consultants who teach presentation skills. And I did my presentation and I made some predictable mistakes. And in particular, I didn't know how to use eye contact, right? So I looked at, that woman back there in the corner, and she didn't look like she was interested. So I never looked back at her. And there was a woman up at the front who was like a kindergarten teacher, warm, soft, nice person. And she was kind of an oasis. And I was kind of glad when it was over. I sat down, they asked me some questions. That was more comfortable. It was kind of like a press conference. I'd been to thousands of press conferences. I knew how to do that. And then they said, go across the street to Starbucks and give us a chance to talk about you.
What?
This was
they
not
told
a relaxing
you that?
latte. They told me that.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to Starbucks and I killed 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. And then I came back to this building, near Times Square. And it was a little overwhelming, the whole thing. And they did offer me a position. They also offered me some feedback, needs work on presentation skills. And what the hell is her problem with eye contact? Well, I'd been in radio for 25 years. There's no eye contact there.
There's no eye contact. It's voice.
And I didn't realize, if you'd said to me, you're really bad at eye contact, I would have said, what are you talking about? I'm fine. I didn't even know that I had a problem. But what I found was my habit was to talk to somebody, but to kind of look off to the side. So I'd be sitting, even with good friends, sitting at a table at a Starbucks chatting, and I'd be looking off this way or looking down at the floor and talking. So I had to fix that.
Yeah.
And I did. And eye contact is a very learnable skill. And I tell that story to say that if it's uncomfortable for you and you may not even be aware of how you come across, it's worth getting some feedback. This is one of the first things I do with clients, right? That they have habits they're not aware of. So what are they? And so get some feedback and then practice steady, direct eye contact. And at first it might feel awkward. It probably will feel awkward. As I get used to it, though, it becomes quite comfortable. And if you speak to groups at all, whether as a professional speaker or in a meeting at work or at church or standing in front of the Girl Scout troop you're leading, whatever, if you speak to groups at all, eye contact is like the secret sauce. When I learned how to do it and to be comfortable with it, people started saying stuff like, there's something, I don't know what are you doing exactly? Because it's like a magnetic connection with the people in the audience.
Which that makes sense. Now, I know part of your work, what you do is teach leaders how to connect and make an impact. So do you teach eye contact? Is that part of the package
usually
of teaching the leaders?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful thing for leaders to really know how to do, especially, to be able to connect with your employees, to be able to connect with everyone under you. That'll just bring a totally, at least for my thought, because I talk about conscious leadership too, that'll bring a totally different environment, first of all, workplace for you and your employees. Yeah, sure.
It's totally about,
or even the audience.
It's largely about connection, but it's also about confidence. Go back to that. When you look somebody in the eye and tell them what you think or how you feel or what they need to do, they take you seriously. And if you deliver that same message looking at your shoes, it doesn't have the same impact.
No.
So it's an enormous asset when it comes to appearing confident. So do you want to know about groups?
Yes.
Eye contact if you have a group.
Yes,
I'm going to
please.
demonstrate here, but even though there's no group, but we'll imagine.
Okay.
So what you do is, and this is true whether you're, again, like at a conference table in the office with maybe 6 or 7 people, or you're standing in front of an audience of 40 or 360, doesn't matter.
Or you're having a conversation with your family and you want to make sure
You're having a conversation with individuals.
Individual. Okay.
One at a time.
You can't do it with your family, 4 people sitting in a
sure
group?
you can. Of course you can.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
What I'm saying is no matter how many people are in the room, you connect with people one at a time.
Oh, I get it.
There is no, I'm connecting with the audience.
With 2 eyes.
Right? I'm connecting with each individual in the audience because that's how they experience it.
Even they're not an undifferent. You saying that just the language in itself makes a totally different.
They're not an undifferentiated mass of humanity. They're individuals sitting in chairs, listening to you. Okay. And you make those connections individually. So to use eye contact to do that, you look at a person, you finish a complete thought, and then you shift to somebody else. And again, you finish your thought, and then you go to that person way back at the back, and you finish a thought, and then you move on. And you don't forget the people close to you. But you may not linger as long with the people close to you because it could get uncomfortable because you're looking down, especially if you're on a stage or if you're standing and they're sitting at a conference table. The people closest to you it'll be more of a vertical angle. And when we look down at somebody, it can feel threatening. So the people at the back of the room, you stay longer with them. So do you see what I'm doing? I come to a brief pause. And that's when I shift. And you'll notice, Isabel, that looks very different than if I'm standing in front of a room full of people and I'm talking like this because I want to connect with everybody in the room. So I'm trying to look at everybody in the room, but of course I can't look at them all at once. Do you see how different that is?
You actually look different versus when you're explaining
I'll bet.
to me and the audience about speaking to one individual. You look on this side, you look in the middle, you don't forget your middle people on the left, and of course, the people in the back, you did say that you speak to them longer. And then when you demonstrated about speaking to everyone and your eyes are moving, all connection between you and I was gone.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
Isn't
That's
that
all
interesting?
energy. Yeah.
We connect with people eyes to eyes, heart to heart, right? And the energy follows the eye contact or moves with the eye contact. So that's my best tip. I shouldn't have just given it away, but there you go.
I told you. There it is, Catherine Jones. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I could talk to you forever. As I mentioned earlier, she's extremely, extremely brilliant. Looking to find presence of how you show up in your world, at work, leaders, executives. Catherine is the person for you.
There you go.
I'm not just telling you because I know. She's demonstrated. I have to say, this is one of my best podcasts.
Oh,
She's
good.
not only
Thank
talked
you.
to us about stuff, she showed us how to do it. I don't think it gets any better than that. We do need to learn how to communicate for ourselves, you know, to be able to express ourselves to people in our lives, people at work, or for instance, what I do. And Catherine does that too when we're speaking and delivering a message to an amazing audience. All the things that she has done is really powerful for someone like me who's constantly standing in front of people who, when they leave my room, I want each individual to feel connected, to feel seen, to feel heard, and for them to feel as though the conference or the seminar was just for them. And that heart to heart, eye to eye, I don't think it gets any better than that. So if you're looking for someone to come to your organization or to teach you yourself just how to show up with communication and being present, because presence is everything. I believe when you create the space for people and be present for people, they do that for you, and that's where the connection happens. So we have to be able to learn what we want others to show us. So again, thank you so much, Catherine. It's always a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, because this was really good. Thank you for the instructions. Thank you for showing us and telling us what we need to do. So I will have Catherine's information when the podcast comes out, all her social links. Please feel free to reach out. Please make sure that you connect with Catherine, especially in this world where now everything has to do with communication. Nobody's no longer just behind the mic like she was. We are all facing someone, whether we're speaking through the screen, as she said, or just being able to talk to someone face to face. I think this is a skill that we all need, and it's a skill that every leader needs, every executive needs in their life. Again, thank you so much. Such an honor. Thank you for listening to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a conversation. I would also be honored if you would consider leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts. As always, you can connect with me through the links in the description. Thanks again for listening. We're so glad you could join us today and look forward to supporting you on your greatest journey. Have a great day.